For my diversity field experience, I chose to get a glimpse into the lives of those who are homeless. I chose to spend 4 evenings volunteering at the Dorothy Day Center in downtown St. Paul. First, a little background information into who was Dorothy Day. She was an American journalist, social activist, and Catholic convert. Her and Peter Morin started the Catholic Worker Movement. She opened her first homeless shelter in New York City in 1933. She was a big advocate against war and was a big proponent for human rights. Dorothy Day was arrested 75 times. The last time was at the ripe old age of 80 years old. Many people have proposed that Dorothy Day be named a saint. This year, Pope Francis called her out as one of 4 great Americans, along with Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., and Thomas Merton. What is the Dorothy Day Center? The Dorothy Day Center in downtown St. Paul was opened up in 1981. It's a drop-in homeless shelter. It is the largest year-round shelter for single adults. Roughly 6,000 people use the services each year. It can comfortably hold 250 people a night. However, when the temperatures get very cold, they do allow more than they can handle to come into their shelter. What do they offer? They offer warm meals and drinks, laundry services, mental health assistance, showers, chemical dependency support groups, housing services, mail services, and veteran services. This is a peek inside the Dorothy Day Center. There are mats that are placed on the concrete floor roughly 6 inches apart. As you can see from the picture above, they separate the males from the females by just a single row of chairs. In the plastic bags that you can also see on the video, that is where they house blankets and sheets for each person that comes in every night. Just a little background statistics into homelessness. In the US alone, nearly 3.5 million people experience homelessness. The top 3 causes for homelessness for singles are mental illnesses, substance abuse, and lack of affordable housing. For those with families, lack of affordable housing, unemployment, and poverty are the top 3 causes for homelessness. Some observations that I made while I was at the Dorothy Day Center are: homelessness does not discriminate against racial or ethnic backgrounds, males or females, or ages. While I was there, I saw people as young as children waiting outside. However, at that particular site, they do not allow children inside. Also, many of the occupants that were coming in through the doors that evening that I was there had to do a breathalyzer before they entered. Some of the occupants also are volunteers. They help with laundry, washing the floors, doing dishes, and whatever else needs to be done. Those who also volunteer and were also staying there were so kind and helpful. You could tell that they took pride in the work that they did at the center. Not everyone comes back night after night. I was in charge of separating the bags of blankets by alphabetical order by their last name, and I noticed that there were several extra bags left over by the end of the night. Due to the possibility of violence, there is also a police officer who comes in roughly around 8 o'clock to monitor. I am not aware if they stay the entire night. However, when I left roughly around 10:30 each of the nights that I was there was still a police officer present. Like I stated earlier, during the cold winter months, they will allow more people in than there is room for. How can you help? You can volunteer at one of their centers. In the Twin Cities alone, there are a handful of centers. the one being the downtown site in St. Paul. There's also several in Minneapolis, and there's a women's shelter in Maplewood. I chose to volunteer 4 evenings at the downtown St. Paul Center since that was the most high demand need for volunteers. Each night they need volunteers roughly from 7 to 10 p.m. What you do is you assist with getting mats on the floor, help with folding laundry, organizing the linens according to name, and then help serve the warm meal and then clean up when you are done. While I was there, I got to know several of the individuals through these services. Many of them were very kind and very helpful. When myself and another individual were serving food, most of the people were so grateful that we were there helping them. I also felt a connection with some of the people that I made contact with. One of the gentlemen came up to me when I was cleaning up and told me how excited he was that at the end of the month he would be moving into his own apartment. I was happy for him, even though I barely knew him. A new center. Due to the growing need, there is a new center that's going to be built, hopefully in the near future. They were planning on breaking ground this summer in 2015, however, plans have got set back a little. This project will cost roughly $100 million. There will be bunk beds to accommodate 278 guests. 193 permanent housing units will be on the top 3 floors, and this plan is to be done in 2 phases. The movement that Dorothy Day created continues to thrive to this day, with more than 200 communities across the U.S. and another 28 communities abroad. While I do not know the background of the individuals I encountered those nights that I was at the center, I feel that they all have a story to share. We all make daily choices. Well, some may be good, others are not. We should not judge those who have slipped up. Rather, we should lend a hand. After all, that could be you or I someday, or perhaps a loved one. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.